What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are bringing you part 18 of our Pittsburgh Pirates franchise here on MLB The Show 20. As you guys might remember, in the last video we had discussed a few things leading up to the All-Star break, who was making the All-Star game and things like that. And so in today's video we're actually going to recap everything past the All-Star break up until the month of September. So that would be the second half of July, the month of August, and then we will have the month of September to look forward to close out the season. Now, the title of the video you guys have no doubt seen already, and that is that the injury bug is hitting us. And honestly, I'm going to show you guys the injuries, and it's going to look a little bit lighter than you might expect, but we've had maybe like 24 injuries just pop up, and most of them have been short-term injuries that haven't hurt us too much, but there is one major injury that is going to hurt us and probably keep a major player out for the playoffs, and that is Jameson Taillon here. Jameson Taillon sustained a broken hand recently, and he's going to be out for 1 to 2 months, so chances are good, based on how long he's been on the DL, that he's not going to be back for the playoffs or anything like that. We can hope that he'll be back earlier than usual, but being that it is a broken, I believe, throwing hand, I can't see that it's going to be wise to bring him back earlier than we need to. He was playing really well for us this season, and it's really unfortunate that an ace level pitcher, he was a 90 before he got injured the way he did, and at that point in the season. So that does kind of stink. We have a couple other guys on the injured list here. Most of these guys are prospects: Sam Deerdorf, Christian Coronado, Harvest Coulter. And we've had, like I said, like 24 other injuries pop in and out of this list in the time that I was simulating and managing the team here. And so I'm worried that in the month of September we're going to pick up some more substantial injuries that are really going to hurt us moving forward. Honestly, our mission at this point in the season is just to survive until the end of September with the least number of injuries that we can on the starting squad, because like I said, our goal here is to try and make this team into a dynasty, and we can't do that if our best players are getting hurt, especially guys like Jameson Taillon. So that is one of the biggest things of note. Actually, something interesting finally happening in the franchise. I apologize, because for the last few videos not really much has happened aside from Andrew McCutchen regaining his form and becoming a good player again here in Pittsburgh. That's about the only thing that we've had to look at. So let's go ahead and recap the games after the All-Star break. I was actually a little nervous because once we hit the All-Star break, we picked up 3 losses in 4 games here, and I saw the simulation go, and I was like, oh man, this is going to be one of those slides after the All-Star break. We're going to be on a major downturn, and we kind of balanced it out. So we played St. Louis, and we lost 2 out of 3 there, which is, not the best result, obviously, but then we played a 2-game series and split against Kansas City. I was happy to come away with this win here to kind of bounce back, and we bounced back in a strong way by playing Milwaukee and sweeping them in a 4-game series. So Milwaukee has started to slide again. We then went on to play the Dodgers, who have been one of our toughest opponents, and honestly, like I said, one of our toughest playoff contenders in recent years, and we split the series with them in some interesting fashion: 0-1, 2-1, and then 1-5 and 8-1. So a decent series split there. We then went on to play Chicago, where we had reversed scores. We won 12-6 and then lost 6-12, and then we took another loss in that series and actually took a series loss against them 2-6. We went on to get a series win against the Mets 3 games out of 4. Played Chicago again, where we won the series, this time 2 games out of 3. We played St. Louis again, where we got swept and did not score a run in either of those games, so that was a little unfortunate. We then played the New York Yankees, where we came away with a 2 out of 3 game series win. Played Arizona following that in a 4-game series, where we took 3 out of 4. We then played Milwaukee, where of course we won the series again, so it's nice that we are kind of handling Milwaukee at this point with another 2-game series win there. We went to play Philadelphia, who is having I don't want to say surprising strong season, but they've had a little bit of turnover there in Philadelphia, so they are having a pretty good season, and we lost 3 games straight to them. We went on to play Miami, who was no surprise. I mean, Miami's got a really good roster built up over there, but they're not to the point where they're competitive yet, so we took a 3-game series sweep against them. We went on to play the Dodgers one more time, and we went ahead and took a 2-game series win against them. So that's a good series win to finish out the month of August with, and hopefully propel us into the month of September. Like I said, I honestly don't care how many wins we get, because we're pretty much locked into playoffs at this point. I don't care how many wins we get in the month of September. I'm just hoping we escape with the least number of injuries possible to kind of help to keep this team healthy. The opponents that we have to look forward to, the St. Louis Cardinals aren't doing very well. The Giants aren't doing well. Milwaukee's not doing well. Obviously, Cincinnati's not doing well. San Francisco again, Cincinnati again, and Milwaukee again. So we don't have any opponents that have a positive record here in the month of September, so that's something worth noting. So what I'm thinking is we might give players more rest than usual, to be quite honest with you guys, and get the bench involved quite a bit more. We do have September call-ups, so we could call up some players for relief, essentially. Call up some guys that we can just give a little bit of starting time to and allow the starting roster to have their time off to heal and recover and be ready to go for playoffs. So I'm thinking that's going to be the strategy as we move forward. Let's go ahead and recap everybody's performances up to this point. Obviously, Taillon got injured, and he was pitching pretty well, as you guys remember. Mitch Keller pitching .315 with a 15-5 record, doing phenomenal for us. You guys know that. As well as Noah Syndergaard pitching really well with a .342 and a 13-5 record. Brendan McKay with a .389 ERA and 15-7 record. And Braxton Ashcraft has been a little bit cold as of late, down to a .485 ERA, but with 11-8 records. So, I'm not going to complain about that out of my fourth starter, absolutely not. And a guy that was a fifth starter pressed into fourth starter action. And then in order to fill that spot, that gap left by the injury of Taillon, we had to call in somebody to have a starting position job. And I'm glad that we decided not to trade away Eliezer Hernandez at the trade deadline. I guess this would be a good time to say we made no moves at the trade deadline. We actually had a couple of interesting trade offers sent our way, but we decided not to go with any of them. So that's kind of where we're at on that front. No moves, no significant moves to let you guys know about. So Eliezer Hernandez finally gets a shot as the fifth pitcher here. He's been sitting in the relief position, the long relief position, for a long time for us, has been doing really well, continued to develop, and I'm happy to finally announce that he is going to be a starter for us, at least for the time being. Maybe through playoffs, maybe we'll get him some legitimate playoff action, which is nice. And one more note on Eliezer Hernandez. I wanted to comment and just say that the suggestion that I had of trading him away was in order to get him starting playing time. And so since I kept him on and Taillon got injured shortly after the trade deadline, it worked out that we get to play him in the way that I wanted to. I think that he deserves some playing time for how well he has performed over the couple years that we've been here. And I'm really happy that I'm able to do that for him. In his place, we called up Hunter Harvey, who you guys have seen up here at the major league level for us before. I am familiar with him. I like him quite a bit, and I'm hoping that he can at least take over that long relief position and help us out a little bit. In terms of the rest of the bullpen, everybody is performing relatively well. Nobody is performing poorly. I would say Matt Eckelman, for what he is actually performing decently well. He hasn't had a ton of pitching time, so nothing to complain about with a 7.04 ERA out of a bullpen. That's not something surprising to see, and everybody else is doing phenomenal. One of the ones that I like to see quite a bit is Archie Bradley is the highest rated pitcher in our bullpen right now, and part of me is considering moving him into the closing spot. Even though Keone Kela is doing phenomenal, Archie Bradley is just playing lights out, and I really like to see that. In terms of our lineup, there are some interesting things to go over here. Kevin Newman has taken a bit of a downturn. He's down to an 88 overall, actually, because he's been cold lately. Brandon Marsh is up to an 80 overall, which is really nice to see the progression out of him at left field, or DH rather, and he's batting .309, so batting really well. Brian Reynolds continues to bat where we would expect him to be at .333. Josh Bell has taken a slide since the All-Star break. As you guys know, he was leading in the MVP race, and he was leading in the batting title race, and now he's down to batting .309, so he has taken a heavy downward angle since the All-Star break. O'Neal Cruz batting .286, which is respectable. JJ Bleday continues to be kind of mediocre. He has progressed a little bit with his bat, which is good to see. Travis Swaggerty is up to a 79, and he's doing pretty well with a .267 average. Ke'Bryan Hayes batting .254 continues to be kind of around the same spot as JJ Bleday. Neither of their bats have activated quite the way that we want them to. Sean Murphy is doing pretty well at .277. And then in terms of our bench, Andrew McCutchen has slid a little bit since the All-Star break. He was batting in the 300s before. He's batting .271 now, which I'm not going to complain about because .271 is respectable for a bench hitter in my opinion. Dalton Varsho batting .252, so he has slid in a little bit. Slid. Jason Martin batting .289, and then Cole Tucker continues to bat really well at .322, and he's actually up to an 80 overall. So in the offseason, what I will say is we are going to have to consider making some moves because I'm not necessarily comfortable with having an 80 overall sitting there at shortstop. What I might do, I might honestly move Kevin Newman. I might trade away Kevin Newman. I know that he's been a great player for us so far, but I want to see what Cole Tucker can do for us in the future, so I might consider moving on from Kevin Newman and putting Cole Tucker out there at shortstop and see what we can do with that. There might be some other moves that we have to make as well. We will see what happens when we get to the offseason. So everybody's doing pretty well on a average basis. There have been some downward angles for a couple of those players, Josh Bell namely. But that's pretty much all we have to update you guys on. Like I said, the Jameson Taillon injury is the big one that is hurting us. I guess I could look at the standings real quick just to show you guys, but we kind of already went through all these teams and how they're not performing well. They're all actually right there around 500. I mean, none of them are doing terrible, but none of them are doing all that great. So it's kind of good news for us that we don't have a lot of competition right now in the division, in the NL Central. So that's that. Hopefully you guys liked this video. If you guys did, leave a like on it. If you guys want more of these franchise updates, make sure you guys continue to tune in and leave that feedback on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Comment down below with what you guys want to see out of the next video. Do you guys like some of the ideas I presented about maybe trading Kevin Newman and putting Cole Tucker in his spot in the offseason? Anything that I mentioned in the video, any players that you guys want me to move on from or trade or bring in, let me know. We will consider it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good night.